No, the question was, you said, how do we meet? You were going to talk about how we met.
You were having acting lessons, and you were in here. Was it in here?
No, it wasn't
yes.
here.
No, it was the other place.
You were, yeah.
It was the other place.
Yeah.
And it was it was like it's a free acting lesson. And I'm like, well, free, I can do free.
That's you.
So
yeah.
I showed up for free, and I didn't have any money. I mean, I was like, free's cool, I can do free. So we showed up. We did that film about because it was a room full of guys because there weren't any girls there in the class. So we had it. So the script we came up with was a bunch of guys getting together for a bachelor party.
Oh my God.
The dog.
That's from that
the
short
da 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 da.
film.
Correct.
I remember that.
So I show up. And I do the one thing, and then I'm like, well, I'm done here. I guess, you know, I gotta go. And Jake tries to shake me down for some money.
Yeah.
And I go, dude, I don't have any money. I don't have any money. I'm out of here.
I didn't realize the level of your destitution when I first met you. It took a while to really comprehend the whole thing.
Well, you were tagging everybody for money.
Damn right.
I mean, you were like 45 a class, or is $365?
It was like $360 for the whole thing, and considering what we were
I'm
doing,
talking per day. I'm saying that right. It was like 300 and something for the whole thing.
We were trying to make that short film, remember?
Right, and
which we did make to a certain extent.
To a certain extent.
We shot it.
We shot it.
That was nice.
Yes, we had the 24-foot jib down by the river, by the van, down by the river. You remember that?
I remember.
It was up over the wall.
That was not by. Was that by the river? I remember being.
That was down by the river.
Following you up the steps,
and no one knew how to set it up but you.
This is the most pointless shot I've ever done in my life.
Correct.
So yeah, I remember that shot.
Right.
It took us like 3 hours to set up for a shot that lasted all of 10 seconds.
And I had really never done sound before, but you gave me the boom.
We noticed this.
And I was like, I know. I thought, well, that's it. So the action's going on over here. It's a love scene. I got the boom, and I'm picking up the waves on the water because I'm thinking, well, that's probably
pretty.
some good nat sound there.
I like
so
the sound
it's like
of it.
squish, squish, and they're
Meanwhile,
talking. It's like, why
like,
can't we hear these guys?
I can't hear a damn thing. A damn thing. I mean, and that, by the way, thank you very much, was the reason the movie stopped when we got it into editing, because we were listening to the sound. Well, loosely put, there was sound. We heard all sorts of things, just never the actors.
Correct.
And
yeah, and we didn't have.
And what was
headphones
disappointing about that was it was a gorgeous movie. I mean, it was beautiful. We had the sunset stuff. Remember all that stuff?
Yeah.
It was actually good. But you know, I'll tell you something that's really interesting. People, I'm a DP, right? I'm supposed to shoot things for a living. And people say, what's the most important part of your shot you're always interested in? Tell me what matters the most. I say, the sound.
Right.
And they're like, really? I say, I care more about sound than picture any day. If you screw up your picture, you can call it a style and then give it a title like traffic. Right. You screw up sound, they're out the door.
Right.
I can't understand you, the movie's over.
If you screw up the sound, you're an amateur.
There's no way.
Right.
And the funny part is, like you say, it's a sign of being an amateur if you screw up the sound, but really it's also a sign of people don't comprehend just how hard it is. I mean, it is, if you go outside.
It's like the CIA. You know what I mean? If nothing happens, they're not doing anything. Right? I mean, but it's like that silent thing that if it's wrong, everybody's like, what? And if it's right, nobody even recognizes it.
I think where you're trying to take
and
that
by
is,
CIA, I mean Culinary Institute of America.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if you don't notice it, they're doing a good job. Is what you're trying to say.
Right, exactly.
If
That's
they
what I'm
don't
saying.
notice it, they're doing a good job.
That's what I'm saying. And so why am I paying you? I didn't even notice. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, unfortunately that happens too. That really sucks. You know, I didn't notice. What the hell are you doing here? I mean, it sounded perfect. What do we need you for?
Right, right. So there you have it.
Because it looks like all they do is sit on their butts and play on their iPhones.
Right.
Because why? Because the only time you look at them is when you're not recording anything. So
Right.
there's nothing.
Yeah, because you're looking at, when you're recording, you're looking at the action.
That's
right.
Why can't we get somebody else? That kid over there, he could do something.
That's right. 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 Well, they say that about video too. It's like, I got a camera. What do I need to pay you?
You just experienced this. You just experienced this. Tell me that story. I love that story. You did an interview, famous actor. And apparently
Oh.
it was, well, how do we say, less than hoped for.
Yeah.
And sit back. You're messing
Can we
with the
talk
camera.
about a famous actor or not?
Let's keep his name out of it.
Okay, no names.
Sorry.
There's a guy. Well, so what happened was
He is famous.
he is
He's
oh,
famous.
very famous.
Big time. So that to add to the gravity of the situation here, it's not like it was, Joe. You know the guy from the pizza commercial that's always Papa John's? No, much bigger. So
Right, and has been so for a long, long time.
Right.
So therefore, this particular actor, I think, understood that this was a cluster from the beginning, but that's just what it is, and we're going to be done here in an hour, and it's just
picked
another
up on
one.
it?
I believe so.
what makes you say that he picked up? How do you know he picked up on it?
Well, the lighting. They use scoop lights, little metal. You buy them at Home Depot.
Depot metal lights.
with
Oh,
light bulbs
yeah.
on the floor. A couple of those,
Uh-huh.
and they were doing beauty lighting, which is supposed to take away your wrinkles, et cetera, and kind of light you from.
My buddy Tim called that a Hillary, because
Okay.
when they used to shoot Hillary Clinton, she would not sit down unless she saw that floor light aiming up to get rid of her chin. And she was so addicted to it that they changed the name of the light to a Hillary. Where's my Hillary? And so but it is to be used with care
And softly.
and soft.
Right, you can't just have a bare light bulb, because what happened was is you get all these nose shadows on the all right, so that's number
They
one.
changed the name of the light to Bela Lugosi.
Right,
You know,
that's Nosferatu. You know, I mean,
Exactly,
it was
like-
bad. So then they had two chimeras, which are soft boxes,
Right.
and they're generally, that's just kind of a soft wraparound light. Well, they pointed them at the ceiling, okay, and for some reason they were bouncing, so it was an indirect thing. Now,
Okay.
the thing is that the walls were orange, the seat was orange, the floor was orange, and they add orange gels to the lights.
So let me get this straight. So at some point, shooting a wide shot, you expected the Spirit rover to come back behind and take a photograph. and transmit it back to the-
And then get stuck because it's got a bad wheel, and it just stands on a rock, and that's it for $60 billion. But no. So what happened is this guy's got orange skin. So basically, when you looked at the wide shot from the side, he faded into the set, and all you saw were his white eyebrows and his white mustache. That's all you could see because it was so closely matched to the wall.
Right.
So I mean, then the sound was bad. I don't know if they reused tapes, but like you said, this is a famous actor, and you would think that the camera that you would put on the famous actor would be your best gun.
Yeah.
You understand? Right. Not true.
What did they use?
Oh, I got dizzy off of that laugh.
What happened? What did they? What camera
I
did they
think what they
use?
were doing, they had this. It's what I call the piss pool. and what it is it's people who want to do production.
Right.
But because they're the guy that's got the camera, and they think, well, anybody can do production because I mean, all you need is a camera.
How hard
you turn
can
it
it
on.
be?
That's right.
hard can it be?
And so they don't have any professional experience, or they're not working with anyone professionally to kind of show them the right ways to do stuff. So they sort of evolve on their own, which is like, why are you doing that? And then the person next to them has no idea either, and they're watching that guy going, well, that must be the way you do it. So then that person starts imitating this person, and so it never really goes anywhere and gets any good. So one of the issues was, I think this guy had a brand new camera for Christmas or something, and it had this feature where you could press the button in the middle of your shoot, and it would take a photograph. It would take a still, and
While
apparently,
it's shooting.
while that's what this person thought. So they kept pressing this button. So when I had to bring this footage into editing, in about a 25-minute interview,
The frame would freeze.
a couple things, right? And so and the audio and the video would be off. So I had to actually jog the audio and the video
So
like
what
47
really was
times.
happening here is this person
This is just one of the people.
thought that his camera could multitask. He thought that he was going to shoot, and while the camera's shooting, it's somehow going to magically put a picture somewhere.
Correct.
On a different folder or something.
Because this was a really famous person.
Exactly.
So why wouldn't you do that?
The equipment should work better.
And why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way they do it in the show.
So with all his years of experience, the actor had to have been looking around and going, "Oh, we are so screwed."
Probably,
how many lighting setups has he seen?
But didn't care. It's like whatever, you know.
Well north of 50. So I mean, he's
Yes.
definitely been around, and he's very, very respected.
Absolutely.
Now here's the thing that's interesting, though, just to give this guy a little credit. What was his attitude towards this? How was he during the shoot?
Oh, totally relaxed, laid back.
So,
you know.
Interestingly enough, no matter how bad the world is falling around his ears,
Right.
he's going to maintain his own aura, his own world, and
Right.
keep it where it needs to be. He doesn't devolve because they do. Because I've seen a lot of people do that. I've seen a lot of talent become horrible because they think the crew is horrible. And so therefore, well, why should I put on my best face if this guy can't find his ass with two hands and a flashlight?
Right.
So it's common now. I mean, you're right. You know what it's like? You remember a term called, show you how old I am, desktop publishing?
Mm-hmm.
Remember back in the day when that got into computers and suddenly everybody and their uncle was a desktop publisher?
Right.
And those people that were studying design and fonts and all this stuff were suddenly competing with people that just came into the market with a computer, and the idea that, well, I have a computer and I have Quark, so now I'm a desktop publisher. But they can't get your work through a resume, and they can't get your work through recommendations, so they're going to use the only weapon available to them, and that's price. And so now they come in, and what should be a $400 job, they're going to do it for $50. And if there's one way to get a business owner interested in anything, is to give them a cheap rate.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's instinctive. All business owners, you know, we always want, every money I don't pay you is money in my pocket. So they try really hard to go after the lowest bidder. I'm dealing with a gig right now where we're all throwing in bids. And I know they're going to look first for the lowest bid and then whatever passable talent they can possibly see. And that's what they're going to go for. Whereas in the old days, when people's jobs depended on it,
Right.
you went after the person that made you feel safest. Screw the money.
Yeah, and I also think you had a different set of standards then.
Yeah.
You know, now you have cell phone video. You have, you know, and they can put cell phone video on broadcast television. I mean, exactly, you know, not that you're going to produce a film shot on a cell phone, but people, the viewers, I think, have become desensitized enough, and different aspect ratios, different resolutions, all that kind of stuff is just a mix and match. And so they can, you know, so people can get away with cheap, bad stuff. And especially if it's a consumable, if it's like news and it just moves along and it's gone, something that lives forever is a little bit different, you know?
I think that one of the things I try to tell people a lot, and that is that one thing that's amazing about the American audience is they can spot the difference between a news program, a soap opera, a reality show, a feature film, and a sitcom in 4 seconds, just by looking at it. Almost everybody that in the American world can spend 4 seconds looking at a shot and can tell you what that show is just by its appearance. And, excuse me, here's the scary part. They know what cost. In other words, you show them news and they'll say, yeah, that's cheap. You show them The Hobbit and they say, yeah, that's expensive. They know not only what it is, they know what its value is, and they assign credibility to that value. So you're right. I don't think our standards are lower. I think we've just learned to categorize more. We now have new categories. Oh, that's a YouTube video. They know what a YouTube video is, strangely. I mean, even if you put a trailer on a YouTube, they never call a motion picture trailer a YouTube video. They call it, oh, that's a movie trailer. So it's amazing how discerning and how specific the audience is. They know their stuff. Right. And you try to pass them by, we're going to show you something beautiful and valuable. Okay, then why does it look like a reality show?
Right.
But you do that more somatic, beautiful look, and they know you spent money. You get more credibility out of it. But I think a lot of producers want to tell themselves, oh, they'll accept this. We can get away with this. Well, business owners for sure. Business owners for sure. I mean, we have a market where you can go to a TV station. You buy enough time on that station for your commercial, they'll shoot the commercial for free. Single most damaging thing that happens to independent producers in this town is that deal. But the commercials are mediocre at best, because obviously they're not gonna, it's still money, and they still gotta pay the guy for the time to shoot, they gotta pay him for editing. So they're thinking, what they're really doing is they're saying, they say they're gonna be a free commercial. It's sad they don't catch this, right? I mean, if I was a business owner and I heard that, hey, you buy $3,000 worth of time, we'll give you a commercial free. My first response would be, tell you what, I'll do the commercial myself and you make it $2,600. Because there's nothing's free. They're paying for that thing. Right. They just upped your price on the time and then paid for a commercial. And the commercial, of course, is going to be single shot, VO with a graphic.
Right.
And what's happened is people in the production have learned how to manipulate the customer's wants and needs to make them think they're getting more than they paid for, when in fact the producer's doing far less work than he used to. It's just gotten bad all the way around.
Right.
In agencies, you know, if you did a bad commercial, you were fired. So agencies didn't worry about as much money. They worried about keeping their jobs. Right. So money didn't have the same priority that it does now. Agencies have, well, you know, look at Doritos. They go around the agency and run their own damn contest and make 10,000 idiotic filmmakers work for free. It's almost like playing the lottery in film. Right. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
That's how reality shows came in.
Right.
Remember?
Right.
Writer's strike.
Well, right. And you just throw enough cameras at it and you're going to find something. It's like, okay. I mean, we worked on one of those. Remember that?
What was it called?
It was the greatest outdoorsman ever or something.
We shot that. Yeah, it was that thing for National Geographic.
I think it was
one of those cable shows.
And they had like everybody had a camera.
What do we call it? We called it Redneck Olympics.
I think that's what it was.
Remember, we called it Redneck Olympics. Yeah. Basically, you were, sorry. The problem is, those guys were well armed. I didn't really mean that. It was his idea. He told me before the show. But yeah, it was a Redneck Olympics. It was archery. It was fishing. How do you make an Olympic event out of
shotgun
fishing?
Shooting, archery?
That I had respect for. The shotgun part.
Well, you better.
Yeah. But those guys were pretty cool. And then we shot that Bass Pro down in Springfield. I remember that was raining.
Correct.
Oh my God.
That was raining.
It was raining.
And mud. And Mississippi mud, or Missouri mud, I should say. Mississippi mud is that the Pesci movie? Mississippi, no, Alabama mud or Georgia mud. Joe Pesci, Marissa Tomei. Utes.
I'm so lost. I have no idea what you're talking about.
What?
Huh?
Utes. 2 Utes. No. All right. Good movie anyway. But yeah, right. And
it's like you're sitting over there having your own conversation.
I know. Right. And I was waiting for to ask myself a question, and I was like, I lost my train of thought.
It's still gone. You know that, right? I mean,
it's the Mercury. It haunts me.
What is this stuff? Again, I never took mercury out of a thermometer. It is explaining a lot right now, I will admit. But why would you open up a thermometer and empty out the mercury?
They would break, well, I'll tell you, for instance, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Right? Sick, kid, home from school. My sister was there. She's a few years older than I was. So, like, if I'm 8, she's 12. So, babysitterable, And I remember we, for lunch, opened a can of Campbell's soup, chicken and noodle, poured it in there, heated it up, put it in a bowl. And I wanted to see what the temperature was. So I stuck it in there, and it broke. Because obviously it's hotter than 98 point.
No, you think?
So I remember, there's like mercury in the bottom of the soup bowl. And I remember calling my mom, or my sister,
What
somebody
does
called
mercury do when it's by itself in something hot? Does it float?
No, it's just, it's like, you stumped me on that one. I had like that chicken in the headlight, you know, like, oh. No,
I'm still thinking about it.
Well, right, well, because, well, no, what gets me, let me ask you, did you know that glass is liquid rock? Glass.
I thought glass was sand.
Sand is solid rock. No, like that's why, like, no, say maybe over 100 years, if you look at a pane of glass that's been around for a while, it'll have sunk, it'll be, because it's actually liquid. Lava would be gaseous rock. I mean, that's how.
Are you making this up right now?
I'm not making it up, man. I'm not, and so I don't know.
Where
the Mercury. Cause, no, because
Mercury.
that's what this was. That like freeze frame was. Because I was trying to think: is Mercury liquid or is that it's solid? You know, and so what is it in a gaseous state, and what is it in a solid state? If that makes sense. What I'm saying, it's just a cool metal. It's a really cool metal. So I'm like 8 years old with these little balls of mercury that I would roll around and I'd play with and stuff, and they'd pick up hair and I'd.
How does the mercury stay together? I mean, liquid normally goes.
It comes together. It like you can put two balls together and it'll just. It's like Terminator 2. It's that.
That
guy.
was real?
That's like mercury. I don't know what his metal was, but that's how. It just comes together, and so it gets bigger and bigger.
If he was made of mercury and it got hot, he'd get taller.
He would get taller.
That'd be cool.
He did get taller from time to time, depending on who he was.
Fighting.
You know, yeah. But you know, but this is back in the days when we used to run behind mosquito repellent.
I remember.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody knew about mercury, right? And if things blowing, there's this big gun blowing out mosquito repellent. And it's driving down the street. It's like,
and I was right
it's
behind
like,
it.
right.
Oh,
all they
God.
needed was a ding, 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 and we did. So, but it's like that. I mean, no one knew that you weren't supposed to run behind the mosquito repellent truck.
Yeah, but I mean, there had to be a certain element of common sense that was being suspended for that one. Because
not when you're 8.
Thinking, okay, what this stuff is clearly designed to kill living organisms, and I'm chucking behind it going. That was not.
Well, you weren't doing that. You were just trying to keep up with it on your bike, on your banana seat bike.
Oh, I remember.
That's what we had, you know. So, and you wouldn't do it forever. You know, you just do it and then you cut off. Like, I could do it. Hey, okay, let's go. You know. So anyway, yeah, it's the mercury makes me forget from time to time. I think it does other things too. But, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Mercury. Anyway, that's what people say. They, you know, if they identify a problem with me in some way, they go, well, we'll just blame it on the mercury, because it probably is that at some level, you know.
Okay.
Because it's a heavy metal, and I think it eventually goes away. I think, or you have to detox yourself or something, or maybe it's still rolling around up there. I don't know, man.
I think based on mercury, we'll stop here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Mercury 1.
Mercury 1.